The Republican Party is a party of liars, fully bought into pushing whatever false narrative Donald Trump wants, and oftentimes in the most hypocritical way possible. And of all the lies told during Donald Trump's administration, the one that really sticks out to me because of the hypocrisy is this idea that he somehow supports free speech. The guy snatching up kids off of college campuses for writing op-eds does not support free speech. The guy who is suing every major media outlet to demand better coverage does not support free speech, and the guy who during a press conference today threatened to jail a journalist after being confronted with a scandal does not support free speech. That is what we saw today, and it's what we are going to get into. But first, I want to start with the insane announcement Donald Trump made to begin his press conference about how he's going to be attacking our elections going forward. This is incredibly scary.
Be a new bill called Make American Elections Great Again.
I love it.
Forcing the U.S. Census Bureau to redo the census to actually get an account of how many Americans with proof of citizenship are in our area, in our country, redistricting some of the House districts. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak for both of us. We love it. Okay, you're going to like this one. I know all about it. We want to bring our elections back. The election in 2020 was rigged, millions and millions of votes. It had to do with COVID and a lot of things, but it really had to do with the crooked people. The Democrats are very good at cheating on elections. And that's why I said too big to rig. They tried this one too. But after about 9:02, they gave up too many votes. Too big to rig. Ron would love it. I would love it. Christie would love it. That's what they have to do. They have to bring it back. And we have to look, Ron, they include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives in the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President.
The Senate just passed Donald Trump's budget, and with it signed their political destiny that they will be decimated in these midterms. And Donald Trump knows that. He knows how unpopular he is, he knows how unpopular his budget is, and he knows that his party is screwed. And it is why they are going after elections now, that they want to tamper with votes. They want to disenfranchise millions of Americans because they know if we had an election that was completely fair, which Donald Trump certainly does not want, he's going to get shellacked. And so that is now what they are going after. It would be a little bit easier to just not kick millions of people off their health care, but Donald Trump doesn't see it that way, as clearly he said right here.
You heard the concerns about the Medicaid cuts, though, Mr.
No,
President.
we're not going to be playing with Medicaid.
An estimated
Only waste, fraud, and
million
abuse.
Americans could lose
Yeah,
their
the
coverage.
Democrats have it wrong.
Promise?
Yeah, waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, if you look at what's gone on, we've gone way back. We take care of Medicaid. We take care of Medicare. They will blow Medicare and Medicaid because they have no idea what they're doing. Just like they don't have any idea what they did on the border, they have no idea. Medicaid is in big trouble with the Democrats.
So you promise anyone who loses their health care coverage, that is because of waste, fraud, and abuse?
Waste, fraud, only waste, fraud, and abuse, which is what everybody wants.
President, Russia has about...
There is no waste, fraud, and abuse in making sure mothers and children have health care. But clearly, Donald Trump does not see it that way, and neither do the Republicans who have acknowledged, like Josh Hawley, that this bill is an abomination and will do damage for generations to come. Yet still, they don't care. They put together a $50 billion slush fund for hospitals to prevent their closures because they understand that hospitals are going to close because of this bill, but they do not care. They will go as far as they need to intimidate on behalf of their billionaires. And speaking of intimidation, like I said, when Donald Trump was confronted over CNN reporting about his illegal ICE attacks, he started threatening to jail journalists.
And Madam Secretary, CNN yesterday pushed an app that lets you track where ICE agents are. Tom Homan was saying that perhaps CNN should be prosecuted for that as obstruction of law enforcement, your response?
Yeah, we're working with the Department of Justice to see if we can prosecute them for that, because what they're doing is actively encouraging people to avoid law enforcement activities, operations, and we're going to actually go after them and prosecute them with the partnership of PAM if we can, because what they're doing, we believe, is illegal.
And they may be prosecuted also for having given false reports on the attack in Iran.
Yes.
They were given totally false reports. It was totally obliterated, and our people have to be celebrated, not come home and say, what do you mean we didn't hit the target? We hit the target prison. You know, the pilots came home and they said we hit the target prison. So they may be very well prosecuted for that. What they did there we think is totally illegal. Okay, let's go.
They should be prosecuted for talking about an app. This is what Donald Trump is saying, that helps people identify ICE agents, law enforcement officials, who should have to identify themselves but refuse to. Donald Trump thinks sharing that pertinent and important information with the public that could keep people safe should have journalists at CNN jailed. Can someone make it make sense? It doesn't. But this is what he's going to do. The ICE agents, they're here to intimidate Donald Trump. He's here to intimidate both me and you and everyone in the media who wants to cover this. And it's not a surprise that Donald Trump is freaking out, especially as everything seems to be falling apart around him. And part of that, of course, is how unpopular, like I said, his budget is, which Elizabeth Warren was calling out on CNN and kind of mocking his civil war with Elon Musk right here.
That they're willing to vote to cut Medicaid. The president needs to hear that and call this bill back in to say this bill should not pass.
Can I ask you about what the other side is saying, which is that if Democrats don't vote for this, that you're going to pay the political consequences because you're voting it wouldn't be extending the tax cuts that the president enacted last time he was in office, and therefore there would be a tax increase for Americans. The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center said that if it would mean 64% of households would get some sort of tax increase should this bill not pass to do so. What is your response to that?
Look, nobody in America except the billionaires want to see the tax cuts for the billionaires and the billionaire corporations. And that's all the Democrats are saying. Democrats are saying, fine, you want to cut taxes for middle-class families? Man, we are all in. You want to find ways to cut taxes for small businesses? Count us in. But you want to do trillions of dollars of giveaways that go to billionaires and billionaire corporations. Why? So Jeff Bezos can throw a second $50 million wedding? No, we don't want any part of that. And here's the deal. Democrats don't want any part of that, and neither do the American people. Democrats, independents, and Republicans are opposed to these tax giveaways for billionaires and billionaire corporations. Republicans are the ones who are going to pay a price for that come November 2026.
Have Democrats done enough, in your view, to talk about what's in this bill? I mean, when you look at the polling, it's underwater with voters, even in a Fox News poll. But do you think that your party has done enough to tell people what is in here and what this is going to do to them?
So do remember, what was in the bill kept sliding around, so it made it pretty hard to talk about it. But here's the deal. Once people hear about what's in the bill, they don't like it. The polling just consistently shows the more people who hear about the bill, the more underwater it is. And understand this, if the Republicans manage to pass this ugly mess, Americans are going to hear about it. We're trying to make sure everybody hears about it before the vote, but we're going to make sure that everybody hears about every Republican who voted to take away health care from millions of Americans so that billionaires could get tax handouts, and they voted to run up the national deficit by another $3.5 trillion. You better believe by November 2026, we're going to make sure everybody in America's heard about that.
If the bill's that unpopular, why do you think it will ultimately pass still? And what does that say if it does?
You'd have to ask a Republican whether or not it's going to pass, because I have to say one of the things that we put out is a chart that shows how many people are going to lose their health care state by state by state. And you heard Senator Tillis quoting that last night when he was saying, what am I going to say to 600,000 people in North Carolina that he was elected to represent? It's clear that in every state, there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are going to lose access to health care in every state. Nursing homes that will close and hospitals that will close. How a Republican or a Democrat or an independent could vote for that is beyond belief. All I can figure out is the Republicans are truly spineless, and if Donald Trump has told them to vote for it, then by golly, the only thing they seem to be able to do is bow low to Donald Trump and do whatever he says. But there is no way that they vote for that because they think it is good for the people who elected them.
Did you ever think that you and Elon Musk would find yourself on the same side advocating against a bill?
What can I say? Hell has frozen over a second time. Look, but Elon Musk is right about this. He's got it exactly right. The idea of borrowing $3.5 trillion on the nation's credit card in order to be able to give tax breaks to the likes of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg is financially nuts. It's terrible for our country because it's going to drive up the cost of borrowing for all businesses all around the country. It's going to be bad for our economy. And it also means that we're going to be saddling our children and our grandchildren and shoot our grandchildren's children to pay off those debts. No one is clamoring for that except a handful of billionaires who made big contributions to Donald Trump's inauguration and got to settle themselves in the front row. What the American people want to see is those billionaires and billionaire corporations make them pay just their fair share. It is not right that Jeff Bezos pays taxes at a lower rate than a Boston public school teacher. Make those guys pay just a fair share. And for goodness sakes, do not borrow money and run this nation further into debt so that those billionaires get even richer. That makes no damn sense.
Even though Donald Trump's budget has passed, it is still going on to the House, and we still have a chance to speak out against it, and we still have to make sure that people know what is in it. The more people learn about Donald Trump's budget, the more unpopular it becomes. So that is our job, to communicate it as much as possible. We're certainly going to be doing so on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.